All right, our seventh one is carbon, right? We're going to start off by drawing the electron dot diagram. Okay, so let's look over here, put it on here. All right, I see carbon is right there, right? I have to figure out how many valence electrons it has. So counting the tall groups, one group, the second group, right? We skip all that. Third group, it's in the fourth tallest group, which means it has 4 valence electrons. So let's draw out our 4 valence electrons. There we go. Okay, so now we have to figure out if it's a giver or a taker of electrons, right? So we have to ask ourselves, hey, what is it going to do? It's got to get to 0 or 8, okay? Now carbon's a tricky one, right? Because if you notice that if I needed to get to 0, what is it going to do? It's going to lose 4 electrons. Now, if it needs to get to 8, it's also going to gain 4 electrons, right? So it can do this or this. Now the question becomes, okay, if the number is the same, if it can lose 4 or gain 4, well, which one's easier? The answer is really both, right? Carbon actually is one that will do both. And we'll learn later on how it does both. All right, it's a little bit tricky, but basically, when we do the electron dot diagram for this, we actually have 2 answers. All right, so we're going to do 2 of them first. First one is we're actually going to show it as a giver. So what would it look like if it was a giver? All right, so if it's a giver, it's going to look like this. But right, since it got rid of 4 electrons, right, now we have to show that it has 4 more protons than electrons. So in order to do that, I'm going to do this. It's 4 plus, right, because of the fact that it has now 4 more protons than electrons, right? So I'm going to take a screenshot of this. So that's only half the answer, though, because it can do both. So now let's look at what carbon would look like if it was a taker of electrons, right? So this is as a giver, right, because it got to 0. So now if carbon were here and it had taken electrons, now it's going to what? Have 8 around it, right? So it's a little bit different. The idea is still the same. It's still got an outer ring that's full. However, it looks a little bit different. Now this time, since it gained 4 negative things, right, it's going to have a 4 minus charge because it has 4 more electrons than protons, right? So this is my second answer. So in this one, you need to have 2 answers, okay? All right, there's carbon.